Please don't cry, sir. Everything will be all right.
The marble floors of the Ritz-Carlton Seoul gleamed like polished mirrors on that cold November evening in 2024, reflecting a man who thought he had everything, until the moment he pressed his ear against room 1847's door and heard his wife whisper, "Once Joon-Ho signs tomorrow, he's finished. Then you and I can finally be together." Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you'd hand them the keys to everything you've built, your company, your future, your heart, only to discover they were already planning which lock to change first? That's exactly where Joon-Ho Park found himself. And what happened next would either destroy him or reveal the most unexpected ally he never saw coming. November 14th, 2024, Gangnam District. Seoul. Joon-Ho Park's fingers drummed against the leather armrest of his Mercedes Maybach as it glided through Seoul's neon-lit streets. 43 years old, with silver threading through his black hair and a jawline that still turned heads in boardrooms from Tokyo to New York, he smiled at the velvet box nestled in his coat pocket. Inside, a vintage Cartier bracelet, Art Deco diamonds that had cost him more than most people earned in a lifetime. 15 years of marriage deserves something extraordinary. "Sir, we're approaching the hotel," his driver, Mr. Choi, announced in Korean, his weathered eyes meeting Joon-Ho's in the rearview mirror. "Perfect." Joon-Ho checked his Patek Philippe watch, 8:47 p.m. Catherine's text from this morning had said her meetings would wrap by 9. He'd fly back from the Busan port inspection early, surprise her before the Asia-Pacific Logistics Summit's gala tomorrow night. Maybe they'd share champagne on the balcony overlooking Gangnam's glittering skyline, like they used to before his empire consumed every waking hour, before the distance crept in. The Ritz-Carlton's golden facade pierced the November darkness. Its 34 floors, a monument to the wealth that flowed through this district like blood through veins. Doormen in crisp uniforms rushed forward as the Maybach purred to a stop, but Joon-Ho waved them off, preferring to slip inside unnoticed. Surprises worked best without fanfare. The lobby smelled of imported lilies and old money. Businessmen in Italian suits clustered around the bar, their laughter sharp and performative. Joon-Ho recognized a few faces: competitors, partners, the parasites who smiled at your face while calculating how to drain your accounts. He'd built Park Global Shipping from his father's 3 cargo vessels into a fleet of 847 ships, controlling 11% of Asia's maritime trade. That kind of success bred enemies. But Catherine wasn't an enemy. She was his wife, the American consultant he'd met at a conference in Singapore 13 years ago, her blonde hair catching sunlight through convention center windows, her laugh like wind chimes. She'd understood his ambition because she had her own, a strategic mind that had helped him navigate Western markets. Her MBA from Wharton opening doors, his Korean pedigree couldn't. When had they stopped laughing together? He bypassed the main elevators, heading for the executive ones near the East Wing, room 1847. He'd memorized her room number from the summit's accommodation list his assistant had compiled. 18th floor, corner suite. Only the best for the senior delegates. The elevator's ascent was silent, save for the barely audible hum of machinery and Joon-Ho's heartbeat thudding in his ears. He felt foolish suddenly, clutching a jewelry box like a schoolboy with flowers. But marriage required effort, didn't it? The American self-help book Catherine had left on his nightstand, The 5 Love Languages, had underlined a passage about acts of service and quality time. I'll give her both tonight. The 18th floor corridor stretched before him, cream walls adorned with abstract art that probably cost more than luxury sedans. His Italian leather shoes sank into carpet so thick it swallowed sound. Room 1842, 1844, 1846. Then he heard it. Muffled voices from behind 1847's mahogany door. Joon-Ho's hand froze halfway to knocking. The voice was Catherine's, that distinctive blend of Midwestern vowels and clipped consonants she used in business mode. But she was laughing, low and intimate. the way she used to laugh with him over late-night wine in their Hanam-dong penthouse. Brilliant, Daniel. Absolutely brilliant. Her words dripped through the door like honey laced with arsenic. Daniel Kovac, Park Global's legal counsel. The Croatian immigrant who'd climbed from public defender to corporate shark. His angular face and steel gray eyes always lingering too long on Catherine during board meetings. Joon-Ho had dismissed his paranoia as exhaustion, the cost of 80-hour work weeks. Why was he in her room at 9 p.m.? Joon-Ho pressed his ear against the door's cool wood, his breath shallow. Once Joon-Ho signs the proxy amendments tomorrow. A male voice, definitely Kovac's Budapest meets Brooklyn accent, purred. The board restructure goes through. Chang and Williams already committed their votes. Your husband will be voted out as CEO before Christmas. The world tilted. And then, Catherine's voice softened, turned molten. Then you and I can finally be together. No more sneaking around. No more pretending you love that workaholic drone. Silence. Then a sound that drove a spike through Joon-Ho's chest. The rustle of fabric. A soft, feminine sigh. I've waited so long to hear you say that, Catherine whispered. The velvet box slipped from Joon-Ho's numb fingers, hitting the carpet with a muted thud. His vision blurred at the edges, the corridor's tasteful lighting suddenly harsh, exposing. 43 years old, 15 years of marriage, a billion-dollar empire. All of it, a-t-u-i, lie. His legs moved on autopilot, stumbling backward from the door. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think past the roaring in his ears. The elevator seemed miles away. His shoulder hit a wall, then a service door he hadn't noticed, marked staff only in Korean and English. And he shoved through it, desperate to escape before his knees buckled entirely. Have you ever overheard the person you love most plotting your destruction with someone you trusted? Your entire world, 15 years of marriage, your life's work, your father's legacy, is collapsing in real time. Would you confront them immediately and risk them covering their tracks? Or would you walk away and let them win? Because Joon-Ho's choice in the next 45 minutes will surprise you. Hi, my beautiful family. I've missed you so much. Thank you for sticking with me through everything. Your love kept me going when things got hard. And now, we're finally back. And this story is going to wreck you in the best way. Before we dive in, do me a favor. I want to surprise my mother this Christmas, and that is only possible when you subscribe to this channel. Also drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I want to know who's riding this emotional roller coaster with me today, and there's a surprise waiting at the end. Trust me, you're going to need each other for this one. Back to the story. The service corridor reeked of industrial cleaner and desperation. Joon-Ho stumbled against a metal shelving unit stacked with folded linens, his palms slapping the cold steel to steady himself. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, harsh, unforgiving, nothing like the soft golden glow of the guest quarters. This was the hotel skeleton, where the machinery of luxury ground forward, invisible to those who paid $2,000 per night. His chest heaved. Each breath felt like swallowing broken glass. 15 years. The words looped in his skull like a skipping record. 15 years of anniversary dinners, of holding her hand through her father's funeral, of building a life while she, plotted with his own lawyer? How long had Kovac been touching her the way Joon-Ho once had? Sir, you can't be back here. The voice cut through his spiral. Female, American accented but different from Catherine's. Warmer, textured with something real. Joon-Ho's head snapped up. A black woman stood 10 feet away, one hand gripping a service cart loaded with room service debris, the other planted on her hip. Late 20s, maybe 30, with natural hair pulled into a practical bun, and eyes that assessed him with the sharpness of someone who'd learned to read people for survival. Her name tag read, Nia, banquet server, in crisp gold lettering. This area is for staff only, she continued, softer now, her gaze tracking the wet streaks on his face that he hadn't realized were there. You need to... Jesus, are you okay? I'm fine. The lie tasted like ash. Joon-Ho wiped his face roughly, trying to resurrect the CEO who commanded conference rooms, who negotiated with Shanghai port authorities and intimidated competitors. But his hands were shaking. Nia set down her cart with deliberate care, the wheels clicking into place. "You're not fine. You look like someone just ripped your heart out through your throat." She paused, tilting her head. "Wait, you're him, Joon-Ho Park. Your picture's in the summit program. Keynote speaker tomorrow." He almost laughed. Tomorrow, when he was supposed to address 3,000 industry leaders about visionary leadership and sustainable growth, while his wife and lawyer dismantled everything from the inside. "How observant," he managed, his voice a raw scrape. "It's my job to be observant." Nia crossed her arms, leaning against the shelving unit opposite him. "People don't see us, the servers, the housekeepers. We're furniture that pours wine and changes sheets. But furniture hears everything." Something in her tone made Joon-Ho's spine straighten. "What do you mean?" Nia studied him for a long moment, some calculation happening behind her dark eyes. Then she reached into the pocket of her black service vest and pulled out her phone, an older model iPhone with a cracked screen protector. She tapped it twice, then turned it toward him. The screen showed a photograph. Joon-Ho's blood turned to ice water. It was Catherine and Kovac, taken through what looked like a partially open door. Room service delivery, probably. Catherine's hand was on Kovac's chest, his fingers tangled in her blonde hair, their faces inches apart. The timestamp read November 12th, 2024, 10:47 p.m., 2 days ago, when Joon-Ho had been in Busan inspecting the new container facility. "I delivered champagne to room 1847 that night," Nia said quietly. "Knocked twice, no answer. Used my key card because the order slip said, 'Leave inside.' The bedroom door was cracked open. I saw that," she gestured at the phone, "took the picture on instinct. Thought about deleting it, but something told me to keep it." "Why?" Joon-Ho's voice came out strangled. "Why would you?" "Because I know what it's like to be screwed over by people you trust." Nia's jaw tightened. "And because I heard them talking afterward, when I came back to collect the tray." Your wife asked Kovac if the proxy documents were airtight. He said, "By Friday, Park Global will have new leadership, and Joon-Ho will be too shell-shocked to fight back." The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere in the building, a door slammed. Joon-Ho's world had narrowed to this gray corridor, this woman holding evidence of his annihilation. "There's more," Nia continued, swiping to the next photo. "I started paying attention after that. Call it curiosity, call it a savior complex. I waitressed through grad school, and my thesis was corporate law, old habits." The next image showed a document, photographed from a room service cart parked outside a conference room. Joon-Ho recognized Park Global's letterhead immediately. Emergency Board Resolution, Executive Restructure. His name appeared in the third paragraph, beside the words, "Removal for cause," and effective December 20th, 2024. His knees finally gave out. He slid down the shelving unit, his $5,000 suit crumpling against the concrete floor like discarded paper. The velvet jewelry box was somewhere in the guest corridor, forgotten. Diamonds for a woman who was selling him like cargo. Nia crouched in front of him, her movements slow, careful, the way you'd approach a wounded animal. "How many people are involved?" Joon-Ho whispered. "From what I've pieced together, at least 4 board members, maybe more." She held up her phone. "But here's the thing, Mr. Park. They think they're invisible because they're powerful. They don't watch their words around staff. They leave documents on tables when we clear plates. They make calls on speakerphone while we refill water glasses." Their eyes met. Hers were steady, fierce. None of the pity he'd expected. Just solidarity, recognition. "I've been collecting evidence for 3 days," Nia said. "Photos, recordings from the service areas where sound carries. I didn't know what to do with it until you stumbled through that door, looking like a man with nothing left to lose." Joon-Ho's breath shuddered out. "Why are you helping me? You don't know me." "No," Nia agreed, "but I know them. I've served Kovac his whiskey sours for 6 months. He snaps his fingers at me like I'm a dog. Your wife? She complained about the thread count on the napkins last week, said, "These people don't understand quality." Her lip curled. "People like them burn down the world because they can. I'm tired of watching it happen." She stood, extending her hand. "So here's my question, Mr. Park. You can crawl back to your car, fly home, and let them destroy you. Or," her fingers remained outstretched, steady as a promise, "you can fight back with someone who's already done half the work." The service corridor's harsh light cast shadows under her eyes, highlighting the exhaustion of double shifts and late rent payments. But her hand didn't waver. Joon-Ho stared at it, at her, at the phone still glowing with images of his ruined marriage. Then, slowly, he reached up and clasped her hand. Her grip was strong, calloused from years of lifting trays and surviving. She hauled him to his feet with surprising force. "I don't even know you," Joon-Ho said hoarsely. Nia smiled, sharp, almost feral. "You're about to." On November 15th, 2024, at 6:23 a.m. in Nia's studio apartment, Mapo District. The coffee was terrible. Joon-Ho took another sip anyway, sitting on a secondhand IKEA chair in a 180-square-foot apartment that would fit inside his penthouse's walk-in closet 6 times over. The walls were painted landlord beige, decorated with framed degrees, BA in political science from Howard University, JD from Georgetown Law, and a single photograph of a younger Nia with an older woman who shared her smile. "My mom," Nia said, catching him looking as she emerged from the bathroom, hair still damp from a quick shower, now dressed in jeans and a Howard sweatshirt. "Passed 3 years ago, cervical cancer. Medical bills ate everything, including my ability to practice law." She poured her own coffee, black, no sugar. "Turns out being $180,000 in debt makes you undesirable to law firms." "I'm sorry." Joon-Ho meant it. Money had always been his armor. He'd never considered it could be someone else's shackles. "Don't be," taught me who's expendable in this world. Nia sat cross-legged on her futon, spreading her cracked iPhone and a borrowed iPad across the coffee table. Really a storage ottoman with a tray on top. "Now, let's talk about how we're going to save your company." The absurdity of it hit him fresh. 24 hours ago, he'd been reviewing shipping manifests in Busan. Now he was in a stranger's apartment, plotting corporate warfare with a waitress who'd photographed his destruction. Except she wasn't just a waitress. "Show me everything," he said. Nia swiped through her phone with practiced efficiency. "Your board meets Friday, November 17th, tomorrow, at 2 p.m. The proxy vote happens then. Kovach's been working this for months, maybe longer." Image after image filled the screen. Catherine and Kovach in the hotel bar, heads bent together over documents. Board member Paul Chang entering the room 1847 at 11 p.m. 3 nights ago. Jennifer Williams, the CFO Joon-Ho had personally promoted 2 years ago, laughing at something Kovach said in a service corridor she thought was empty. "Williams surprised me," Joon-Ho muttered. "I gave her that position when the old boys club said she was too young. Kovach promised her CEO," Nia said flatly. "I heard him. Catherine gets Park's shares in the divorce. You get the company, I get general counsel with a 40% raise. They're carving you up like a Thanksgiving turkey." Joon-Ho's jaw clenched. The coffee turned acidic in his stomach. "Here's the structure as I understand it." Nia pulled up a note on her iPad. Detailed, organized, the work of someone with legal training. Kovach drafted an emergency resolution citing gross mismanagement and breach of fiduciary duty. Completely fabricated, but it doesn't matter if the votes are there. Chang, Williams, and David Reeves are confirmed yes. That's 3 of 7. Your wife holds proxy voting rights for the shares your father's trust left you. Something about estate planning? A tax strategy, Joon-Ho said bitterly. "I gave her power of attorney over the trust shares during our 10th anniversary. She said it showed I trusted her completely. Well, she's voting those shares against you. That's 4. Nia tapped the screen, which means they win. You're out. Kovach probably has severance papers already drafted. Minimal payout, non-compete clause, gag order. The apartment's radiator clanked, struggling against November's chill. Outside the window, Mapo District was waking up. ajumas opening vegetable stalls, salarymen rushing towards subway stations, the organized chaos of Seoul's working class, a world away from Gangnam's gleaming towers. Can we prove the affair? Joon-Ho asked. Invalidate her proxy rights based on infidelity? Korean law doesn't work that fast. By the time we file, you're already ousted. Nia leaned forward, her eyes sharp. But here's what I do have. She opened a voice memo app, pressed play. Kovac's voice filled the tiny apartment, tinny through phone speakers. Beautifully ironic. Park built a shipping empire on contracts, and the contract destroying him is his own prenup. Once Catherine divorces him post-termination, she keeps the trust shares. We sell them to Chen Industries, pocket $340 million, and Park Global becomes a Chinese subsidiary within 6 months. Joon-Ho shot to his feet, the chair screeching backward. Chen Industries? They've been trying to acquire us for 5 years. Recorded that yesterday during breakfast service in the executive lounge, Nia said calmly. Kovac was on his phone, thought I was just refilling his orange juice. There's more. She played another clip, Catherine this time, her voice saccharine. Daniel, darling, make sure the severance includes the non-compete. I don't want Joon-Ho starting a rival company out of spite. He's sentimental about his father's legacy, but he's not stupid. The words landed like physical blows. Joon-Ho braced himself against the kitchenette counter, his knuckles white. She's right, he said hoarsely. I'm not stupid, just blind. Everyone's blind to betrayal until they see it. Nia stood moving to his side. Up close, she barely reached his shoulder, but her presence was solid, grounding. The question is, what do we do with what we know? Joon-Ho's mind raced, slipping into the strategic mode that had built his empire. The recordings prove conspiracy, possibly securities fraud. But we need to present them correctly. If I burst into the board meeting with accusations, they'll claim the recordings are doctored, that I'm having a breakdown. Exactly. Nia crossed her arms. Which is why you don't burst in. You play dead. What? Let them think they've won. Her lips curved. Not quite a smile, more like a blade being unsheathed. You attend the meeting, act shell-shocked, maybe even emotional. Don't fight the vote, let it pass. You want me to hand them my company? Joon-Ho stared at her. No, I want you to hand them enough rope to hang themselves. Nia grabbed her iPad, pulling up what looked like corporate bylaws. Park Global's charter has a clause, Article 14, Section 3. Any board decision made through fraudulent means can be overturned within 72 hours if evidence is presented to the majority shareholders. Joon-Ho's breath caught. The minority shareholders. I've been so focused on the board, I forgot that you still have allies. Nia nodded. I cross-referenced the shareholder registry with the summit's attendee list. Lee Min-jun from Hanjin Logistics owns 8%. Yuki Tanaka from Mitsui Trading owns 6%. Both are here in Seoul. Both have historically voted with you. If I can get them the evidence after the fraudulent vote passes, Joon-Ho said slowly, his pulse quickening, we can call an emergency shareholder meeting, overturn the board's decision, and expose Kovac, your wife, and everyone involved as conspirators attempting corporate theft. Nia's eyes glinted. You don't just get your company back. You destroy them legally, publicly, and permanently. The plan crystallized in Joon-Ho's mind like frost forming on glass. Delicate, intricate, deadly. Why are you doing this? He asked again. Because he needed to understand. You could sell this information to Kovac, to Chen Industries. Name your price. Nia was quiet for a moment, her gaze drifting to the photograph of her mother on the wall. When my mom got sick, she said softly, her insurance company denied coverage, called her cancer pre-existing. We appealed, hired a lawyer, one of those expensive corporate types who said he'd fight for us. Know what he did? Took our retainer, filed one motion, then dropped us when the insurance company offered him a consulting gig. Her voice hardened. My mom died on our living room couch because people like Kovac only care about profit. She turned back to Joon-Ho, and he saw it then, the steel beneath her exhaustion. the fury that came from watching the powerful devour the vulnerable. "You're not a good man because you're rich, Mr. Park," Nia said, "but you built something real. You employ 14,000 people, and right now, you're the only thing standing between Park Global and vultures who'll strip it for parts and throw those 14,000 people on the street." She held his gaze. "So yeah, I'm helping you, because sometimes the world needs someone to fight back." Joon-Ho felt something crack open in his chest. Not the shattering of betrayal, but something older, buried beneath years of boardroom politics and calculated moves. Purpose. Real, undiluted purpose. "We'll need to move carefully," he said. "If Kovac suspects..." "He won't." Nia checked her watch. "I've got the lunch shift at the summit today. I'll plant myself near the conference rooms. Keep gathering intel. You need to act normal, attend your keynote speech, smile for cameras, be the confident CEO, while my wife plots my destruction, while your ex-wife plots her own." Nia's smile turned sharp, because by Sunday, she's going to wish she'd never met Daniel Kovac. Have you ever had to pretend everything was fine while secretly planning your comeback? And what gave you the strength to keep fighting when the odds seemed impossible? Drop your comment below. Your resilience might inspire someone who needs it today. On that same day, at exactly 1:47 p.m., in the Ritz-Carlton Grand Ballroom, 3,000 faces stared up at Joon-Ho from the ballroom floor. He stood at the podium, the keynote speech projected on screens flanking him, navigating disruption, leadership in uncertain times. And the irony would have been funny if his hands weren't shaking behind the lectern. "The greatest threats to any organization," he said, his voice steady through sheer force of will, "come not from outside competition, but from internal complacency, from trusting the wrong people." In the third row, Catherine sat beside Kovac, her blonde hair perfect, her expression attentive. She caught his eye and smiled, warm, supportive, the smile of a loving wife. Joon-Ho smiled back. "You have no idea what's coming." Near the service entrance, barely visible in her black uniform, Nia stood with a tray of water glasses. Their eyes met for half a second. She gave the slightest nod. The war had begun. November the 17th, 2024, 1:53 p.m. in Park Global headquarters. Uedo Financial District, the executive boardroom, occupied the entire 47th floor of Park Global's glass and steel tower, offering panoramic views of the Han River and the National Assembly building beyond. Joon-Ho had always loved this room. The Brazilian rosewood table his father had commissioned, the leather chairs that cost more than luxury sedans, the subtle scent of power that permeated spaces where billion-dollar decisions were made. Today, it smelled like a tomb. 7 board members sat around the table, their expressions ranging from carefully neutral, Lee Sang-min, the old family friend, to barely concealed anticipation, Jennifer Williams, already sitting straighter, as if rehearsing her CEO posture. Kovac occupied the chair to Joon-Ho's right, his right hand, his trusted counsel, looking impeccable in a charcoal Tom Ford suit, a Mont Blanc pen resting casually between his fingers. Catherine sat in the observer section behind the board, technically present as a shareholder proxy, but really here to watch her husband's execution. She'd worn cream Chanel, pearls at her throat, funeral attire disguised as elegance. "Shall we begin?" Paul Chang cleared his throat, shuffling the agenda papers before him. As board secretary, he'd orchestrate this, carefully. "We have several items, but I believe we should address the emergency resolution first." "Agreed," Williams said quickly. Too quickly. Joon-Ho said nothing. He sat at the head of the table, his father's chair, his birthright, and projected exactly what Nia had coached. A man already defeated, too stunned to fight. His tie was slightly loose. He'd skipped shaving this morning, leaving a shadow of stubble. Small details that whispered broken. Let them see what they expect. "Mr. Park," Chang continued, his voice oily with false sympathy. "It pains me to bring this forward, but concerns have been raised regarding your recent leadership decisions. The failed expansion into South American ports, the ongoing labor disputes in Busan, the..." The hemorrhaging of shareholder value, Kovac interjected smoothly, his Budapest accent lending false gravitas. 23% decline in 6 months. Your father built this company on stability. You've introduced chaos, lies, carefully constructed lies based on temporary market fluctuations, and isolated incidents blown grotesquely out of proportion. Joon-Ho had the real numbers memorized. Park Global was up 11% year over year. The South American expansion was ahead of schedule, and the Busan disputes were routine union negotiations. But facts didn't matter when the jury was rigged. I've worked tirelessly, Joon-Ho began, letting his voice crack slightly. We don't doubt your effort, Williams said, leaning forward with manufactured concern, but effort isn't results. The board has a fiduciary duty to shareholders. We must consider whether new leadership might better serve Park Global's future. There it was. The knife slid between his ribs with a smile. Lee Sang-min shifted uncomfortably. This seems extreme. Joon-Ho has led us through. With respect, Mr. Lee, Kovac cut in. Sentiment cannot override fiscal responsibility. We have a legal obligation. He slid a document across the table, the emergency resolution, dense with legalese that boiled down to 4 words. Joon-Ho Park is out. The resolution requires a majority vote, Chong said. Given the gravity, I suggest we proceed immediately. Joon-Ho watched them, these people he'd trusted, Williams, whose daughter's education he'd quietly funded when her divorce left her struggling, Chang, who'd wept at Joon-Ho's father's funeral and sworn loyalty to the family, David Reeves, the American logistics expert Joon-Ho had recruited from a competitor, doubling his salary. Judas had only needed 30 pieces of silver. Apparently, his board had settled for future positions and stock options. Before we vote, Joon-Ho said quietly, I want to say something. The room stilled. Catherine leaned forward in her observer seat, her blue eyes glittering with something that might have been triumph or might have been guilt. Hard to tell with sociopaths. When my father died, Joon-Ho continued, his voice rough, I promised him I'd protect what he built. Not just the ships and the contracts, the people, the families depending on Park Global paychecks, the communities sustained by our ports. He looked at each board member in turn. I thought I was protecting this company by trusting you, by believing we shared that mission. Joon-Ho, Lee began, but there was no conviction in it. I was wrong. Joon-Ho smiled, small, bitter. So let's vote. If you truly believe I failed, then remove me. I won't fight it. The words hung in the air like smoke. Kovac's eyes narrowed fractionally. He'd expected resistance, legal threats, anything but surrender. But then his expression smoothed. The arrogant smile returned. He thinks he's won. All in favor of Resolution 2124, 11th, 17, Chang announced, removing Joon-Ho Park as Chief Executive Officer and Chairman. Effective immediately, Williams' hand shot up. Aye, Chang followed. Aye, Reeves, barely meeting Joon-Ho's eyes. Aye, 3 votes, 1 more, and it was done. Mr. Kovac, Chang prompted, as legal counsel, you hold an advisory vote in executive matters. Technically true, though rarely invoked. But they'd planned for everything, hadn't they? Stacked every possible advantage. Aye, Kovac said, his voice silk over steel. 4 votes. Majority secured. The resolution passes, Chang declared. Joon-Ho Park is hereby removed from all executive positions within Park Global. Effective. The boardroom doors burst open. Nia strode in, no longer in a server's uniform, but dressed in a sharp black pantsuit, her natural hair styled professionally, a briefcase in her hand that Joon-Ho recognized as his own, retrieved from his office an hour ago. Behind her came 2 men in Seoul Metropolitan Police uniforms, and a woman in a prosecutor's blazer, her badge glinting under the recessed lighting. What the hell is this? Kovac was on his feet, his composure cracking. This is a private board meeting. Security. Sit down, Mr. Kovac, the prosecutor said calmly, her Korean clipped and authoritative. I'm Deputy Prosecutor Kim Min-seo from the Seoul Southern District Office. We're here regarding credible allegations of corporate fraud, conspiracy to commit securities violations, and attempted theft of corporate assets. The color drained from Williams' face. Chang's papers slipped from his fingers, scattering across the rosewood table. Catherine stood abruptly in the observer's section. "This is absurd. On what grounds?" "On these grounds." Nia opened the briefcase, pulling out a tablet. She connected it to the boardroom's presentation system. Joon-Ho had given her his access codes last night, and suddenly the wall-mounted screens flickered to life. Kovach's voice filled the room. "Once. Catherine divorces him post-termination. She keeps the trust shares, we sell them to Chen Industries, pocket $340 million, and Park Global becomes a Chinese subsidiary within 6 months." Williams audibly gasped. Lee Sang-min's face went from confused to horrified as understanding dawned. That's taken out of context," Kovach snarled. But his hands were shaking now, the Mont Blanc pen clattering to the table. "Context!" Nia's voice was ice. "Let's provide more." She played the next recording, Catherine and Kovach in the hotel room, discussing the proxy vote timeline. Then photographs, the two of them in intimate embraces, time-stamped and geotagged. Financial records showing wire transfers from Chen Industries to a Cayman Islands account in Kovach's name, dated 3 weeks ago, $500,000. The down payment on Betrayal. "You have no right to those records!" Catherine shrieked, her carefully maintained composure shattering like porcelain. "That's illegal surveillance. It's evidence gathered in public and semi-public spaces by a private citizen," Prosecutor Kim corrected, "perfectly admissible, and corroborated by testimony from Lee Min-jun and Yuki Tanaka, minority shareholders who filed an emergency petition to invalidate today's vote based on fraud." Joon-Ho stood slowly, and this time there was no crack in his voice, no tremor in his hands. The broken man was gone, replaced by the executive who'd negotiated with Singapore port authorities and faced down Chinese trade ministers. "Article 14, Section 3 of Park Global's charter," he said quietly. "Any board decision achieved through fraudulent means can be overturned by majority shareholder vote. Mr. Lee and Ms. Tanaka's combined shares, plus my personal holdings, constitute 52% of voting power." He looked at Kovach, at Williams, at Chang. "Your vote is void. Your conspiracy is exposed. And as of this moment, you're all terminated for cause." "You can't do this," Williams stood, her chair toppling backward. "We followed proper procedure. The vote was legal." "The vote was built on fabricated charges and conflicts of interest," Nia said, advancing toward the table. "Ms. Williams, you were promised the CEO position. In exchange for your vote, that's self-dealing. Mr. Chang, you received $200,000 from a shell company linked to Chen Industries last month. Want me to keep going?" Chang's face turned gray. He said nothing. Kovach, though. Kovach still had fight in him. He turned to Joon-Ho, his steel gray eyes blazing with hatred stripped of pretense. "You self-righteous bastard," he spat. "You think you're better than us. You inherited everything. Your father's company, your wealth, your privilege. Some of us had to claw our way up from nothing. And you—" "I built on what my father started," Joon-Ho cut in, his voice like a blade. "You tried to steal it. There's a difference." He gestured to the police officers. "Gentlemen, I believe Mr. Kovach and these board members need to be escorted out while Prosecutor Kim completes her investigation." "You're making a mistake," Kovach hissed as the officers moved toward him. "Chen Industries has resources you can't imagine. This isn't over." "You're right," Joon-Ho said. "It's not over. Because I'm filing civil suits against each of you for breach of fiduciary duty. And I'm personally ensuring that every detail of this conspiracy becomes public record. Your legal careers, finished. Your reputations, destroyed. Your freedom." He smiled, cold and final. "We'll let the courts decide." Catherine lunged toward him then, her Chanel heels clicking frantically against marble. "Joon-Ho, please, I can explain. Daniel manipulated me. I was confused. I never meant—" "Stop!" The single word halted her mid-step. Joon-Ho looked at the woman he'd married 15 years ago, searching for any trace of the person he'd loved. There was nothing, just desperation and calculation. wondering which lie might still work. "The prenup has an infidelity clause," he said quietly. "You get nothing. The trust shares revert to me, and the divorce papers will be filed by end of business today." He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper only she could hear. "You wanted to destroy me, Catherine. Instead, you freed me. Thank you for that." Her face contorted, rage, grief, disbelief swirling into something ugly. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. What could she say? The recordings damned her. The photographs condemned her. The conspiracy was irrefutable. The police officers escorted Kovach, Williams, and Chang out, their protests fading down the corridor. Prosecutor Kim collected evidence, speaking quietly into her phone. David Reeves sat frozen in his chair, awaiting his fate. And Joon-Ho finally turned to Nia, who stood near the presentation screen, her expression carefully neutral. The waitress who'd become a warrior, the stranger who'd saved his empire. "Thank you," he said, and the words felt impossibly inadequate. Nia's lips quirked. "You're welcome, but we're not done yet." "What do you mean?" She pulled up one final document on the tablet, a corporate restructuring proposal, dense with legalese, but clearly marked at the top. Nia Matthews, nominee for Chief Legal Counsel, Park Global Shipping. Joon-Ho's breath caught. "You want Kovach's job?" "I earned Kovach's job." Nia crossed her arms. "I saved your company, exposed a conspiracy, and coordinated with prosecutors across 2 jurisdictions. Plus, I have a JD from Georgetown, and nothing but time." Her eyes glinted. "Unless you'd prefer I go back to serving champagne." For the first time in 72 hours, Joon-Ho laughed. Real, unguarded, the sound of a man remembering what joy felt like. "You're hired," he said. "Pending board approval, but considering I'm appointing the new board," he extended his hand. "Welcome to Park Global, Ms. Matthews." She clasped it, her grip firm and sure. "Let's get to work, Mr. Park." The takedown happened, justice was served, and Nia's role has evolved from ally to partner. But was that really the end? Or the beginning of something no one was expecting? December 24th, 2024, 7:34 p.m. Park Global Headquarters, 47th floor. Snow fell softly against the floor-to-ceiling windows, dusting Uido's skyline in white. The Han River below reflected the Christmas lights strung across its bridges, turning the water into liquid gold. Seoul glittered like a jewelry box, oblivious to the corporate earthquake that had shaken its financial district 5 weeks ago. Joon-Ho stood at those windows now, a glass of whiskey in his hand, Macallan 25. The bottle his father had opened the day Park Global secured its first international contract. He'd been saving it for a moment that mattered. Tonight mattered. Behind him, the boardroom, his boardroom, reclaimed and secured, was empty except for one person. Nia sat at the rosewood table, her laptop open, reviewing the final settlement documents from the prosecutor's office. She traded the server uniform permanently for tailored suits, though she still preferred comfortable flats over heels. Her natural hair was styled in elegant twists tonight, and she'd finally replaced her cracked iPhone with the company phone Joon-Ho had insisted she needed. "Kovach pled guilty," she announced, looking up from the screen. 15 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and attempted embezzlement. He's looking at 8 to 12 years plus restitution. His legal license is permanently revoked. Joon-Ho took a slow sip of whiskey, letting the burn settle in his chest. "And Williams? Chang?" "Williams took a plea deal, 5 years, testifying against Chen Industries' involvement. Chang's fighting it, but the wire transfers are damning. He'll lose." Nia leaned back in her chair, a satisfied smile playing at her lips. Reeves agreed to resign quietly in exchange for immunity. He was the weak link, didn't have the stomach for conspiracy. And Catherine? Nia's expression softened slightly. The divorce finalized yesterday. She signed everything. No contest, no appeals. Took the minimal settlement the prenup allowed and moved back to Chicago. Her lawyer said she's not doing well. Joon-Ho should have felt vindication, justice, something. Instead, there was just Emptiness, where 15 years of marriage used to live. Not grief exactly, more like the phantom ache of an amputated limb. "I don't hate her," he said quietly, still watching the snowfall. "I thought I would, but I just feel nothing." That's healthier than hate. Nia closed her laptop, standing to join him at the window. Side by side, they watched Seoul's nighttime ballet. Cars flowing like blood cells through arterial streets. Office lights winking out as workers headed home to families. Hate means they still have power over you. Nothing means you're free. "Am I?" Joon-Ho glanced at her. "Free? Are you?" she countered, her dark eyes reflecting the city lights. He considered this. Park Global was secure, the board reconstituted with members he actually trusted, including Lee Min-jun and Yuki Tanaka, whose intervention had been crucial. The shareholders had rallied behind him once the conspiracy went public, stock prices rebounding sharply. Chen Industries faced investigations across 3 countries for attempted corporate espionage. But freedom wasn't about stock prices. "I'm different," Joon-Ho admitted. "The company is different. I fired 37 executives who enabled or ignored the rot. Promoted from within, people like Kim from accounting, who's been here 19 years and actually cares about the work. I established an ethics hotline, anonymous reporting for employees at any level. The Nia Matthews Memorial Common Sense Initiative," Nia said dryly. "You didn't have to name it after me. You saved us by seeing what others dismissed. Seemed appropriate." He smiled. "And you've transformed the legal department in 5 weeks. Kovac had 17 lawyers doing the bare minimum. You have 8 doing actual justice. Quality over quantity." She tilted her head, studying him. "But you're avoiding my question. Are you free, Joon-Ho?" The use of his first name, something she'd started doing 3 weeks ago, after late nights reviewing contracts and rebuilding systems, still sent a small electric current through him. Not attraction exactly. Or not just attraction. Something deeper. Recognition. Partnership. "I'm learning to be," he said honestly. "Therapy helps. Dr. Seo says I'm unpacking trauma and rebuilding trust schemas." He grimaced. "Sounds like furniture assembly." Nia laughed. The genuine, unguarded sound he'd come to treasure. Emotional IKEA. "I like it. What about you?" Joon-Ho turned to face her fully. 5 weeks ago, you were serving champagne and surviving on ramen. Now you're chief legal counsel of a billion-dollar company. That's whiplash. "It's terrifying," Nia admitted. "I wake up some mornings convinced it's a dream, that I'll blink and be back in that studio apartment with my mom's medical bills." Her voice dropped. "But then I remember, I earned this, not through connections or privilege, through actually giving a damn." "You gave more than that." Joon-Ho set down his whiskey glass, the words forming carefully, deliberately. "You gave me back my life, my company, my father's legacy. I owe you. Stop." Nia held up a hand. "You don't owe me anything. We're partners now. Equals." "Are we?" He raised an eyebrow. "Because I'm still technically your boss." "Technically?" Her eyes sparkled with mischief. "But I have recordings of you ugly crying in a service corridor. That's leverage. Blackmail is illegal, counselor. So sue me, Mr. Park." The banter felt easy, natural, the rhythm they'd developed over late nights and coffee runs and rebuilding an empire from the inside out. But beneath it, Joon-Ho sensed something unspoken, a tension that wasn't quite tension. Possibility, maybe. "I have something for you," he said abruptly, retrieving a small wrap box from his desk drawer. Not the velvet jewelry box he'd bought for Catherine. That was in a dumpster somewhere, where it belonged. This was simpler. Brown paper, twine, honest. Nia accepted it with curiosity, unwrapping carefully. Inside was a key, brass, old-fashioned, attached to a leather fob embossed with Park Global's logo. "It's the master key to the executive floor," Joon-Ho explained. "My father gave me his when I became CEO. It's symbolic. You have access to everything, authority to make decisions, trust without question." He met her eyes. "I want you to have it, not as an employee, as a true partner." Nia's breath hitched. Her fingers closed around the key, and for a moment, Joon-Ho saw everything she'd survived flash across her face. The debt, the loss, the years of being invisible, dismissed, underestimated. Joon-Ho, she began, then stopped, her voice thick. You don't have to say anything, he said gently. Just know that you belong here. Not because I'm grateful, though I am, but because you're brilliant, fierce, and exactly what Park Global needs. What I need. The last 3 words hung in the air, heavier than he'd intended. Nia looked up at him, the key pressed against her palm, and something shifted in the space between them, fragile, tentative, but undeniably real. I need you too, she whispered, not as a boss, as whatever this is. Whatever this is, Joon-Ho echoed, and smiled, genuine, hopeful, the smile of a man learning to trust again. Outside, the snow fell heavier now, blanketing Seoul in soft silence. The city would keep turning, deals would be made and broken, empires would rise and fall. But here, on the 47th floor of Park Global headquarters, 2 people who'd found each other in the worst moment of their lives stood together, watching the future arrive, one snowflake at a time. Merry Christmas, Nia, Joon-Ho said. Merry Christmas, Joon-Ho. June 15th, 2025. Park Global Annual Shareholders Meeting. The ballroom at the Grand Hyatt Seoul was packed. Over 2,000 shareholders, analysts, and media representatives waiting for Park Global's quarterly report. Joon-Ho stood backstage, adjusting his tie, breathing deeply. Nervous? Nia appeared beside him looking, striking in a navy suit. The brass key he'd given her 6 months ago, now worn on a chain around her neck. She wore it every day, she told him, a reminder of where she'd come from and where she belonged. Terrified, he admitted. Last time I gave a keynote, my wife was plotting my destruction. Well, your chief legal counsel is currently plotting your success, so we're trending upward. Nia squeezed his hand briefly. A touch that had become familiar, comforting, something more. They hadn't defined it yet, both too focused on rebuilding to rush into labels. But it was there, growing quietly, like plants toward sunlight. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed, please welcome Park Global's CEO and chairman, Joon-Ho Park. Joon-Ho stepped into the lights, applause washing over him. He reached the podium, looking out at the sea of faces. In the front row sat Lee Min-jun and Yuki Tanaka, his allies. In the third row, Kim from accounting, now CFO, gave him a thumbs up. And near the side entrance, barely visible but always watching, always present, stood Nia, his partner, his friend, his future still unfolding. Thank you for being here, Joon-Ho began, his voice strong and clear. 6 months ago, Park Global faced an existential threat, not from competitors or market forces, but from betrayal within our own walls. The room quieted, leaning forward. We survived because one person had the courage to see injustice and fight it, not for profit, not for recognition, but because it was right. He found Nia's eyes across the ballroom. That person taught me that true leadership isn't about power. It's about partnership, about lifting up the voices others ignore, about building something that matters. He clicked to the presentation's first slide, Park Global's numbers, all trending upward. Revenue up 23%, employee satisfaction up 41%, ethics complaints up 300%, because people finally felt safe reporting problems. This is what happens, Joon-Ho said, when you stop treating people as invisible, when you listen to the server, the accountant, the dock worker, when you remember that companies aren't buildings or balance sheets, they're people. The applause started slowly, then swelled, thunderous and genuine. Joon-Ho glanced at Nia again. She was smiling, her eyes bright, mouthing 2 words, "Thank you." But he was the one who should be thanking her for everything, for seeing him when he was invisible in his own life, for fighting when he'd wanted to surrender, for showing him that the greatest partnerships aren't found in boardrooms or marriage certificates. They're forged in service corridors and late nights, and choosing to trust again despite every reason not to. The presentation continued. Numbers and strategies and 5-year plans. But Joon-Ho's mind was already elsewhere, on dinner reservations he'd made at a small restaurant in Mapo District, the neighborhood where Nia used to live. On the question he'd been rehearsing for weeks, about whether she'd consider not just being his chief legal counsel, but maybe eventually something more. No rush, no pressure, just possibility. Because the best surprises he'd learned weren't the ones you planned. They were the ones that saved your life. Who in your life saw you when you felt invisible? Who believed in you when you'd stopped believing in yourself? Take a moment to honor them in the comments below. And if you're still waiting for your Nia or your Joon-Ho, know this: your breakthrough moment is coming. Sometimes the people who save us appear in the most unexpected places. Thank you for making it to the end. And my surprise will only be prepared for those who subscribe and join this growing community. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as interesting and even more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.